Okay, let's just jump right into this. We're looking at a truly fascinating explainer of Mad Taslim's profound book, Whispers of Emptiness. Today we're diving into a narrative that completely trades the absolute chaos of our modern day-to-day lives for the profound depths of isolation. It's a journey that asks some pretty heavy questions. What do we actually value? What are we constantly chasing? And what might we actually find if we just stopped running for a minute? We've distilled the core essence of this deeply spiritual text, and honestly, I am absolutely thrilled to walk you through it. So let's get right into the mind of a seeker.
Now, think about this core question for a second. What actually happens when you leave the noise of the world entirely behind? It immediately drops us right into the shoes of the young boy at the center of this narrative, a kid who makes the incredibly radical choice to just pick silence over our modern reality. In a society that literally demands our constant attention, where our phones are always buzzing and our schedules are packed to the brim, the idea of just walking away? Well, it's terrifying, but it's also kind of wildly intriguing, isn't it?
We start off by looking at his departure, zeroing in on the chaotic, desire-filled world he's leaving behind. The source text describes our baseline reality as a world overflowing with noise, desires, and endless distractions. And honestly, who can't relate to that? The author paints this vivid picture of a life that's so incredibly loud we can't even hear ourselves think. This is the catalyst right here. The young boy looks around at this massive surplus of information and ambition, and he realizes, okay, the answers I'm looking for, I'm definitely not going to find them in the middle of a crowded room.
And it's absolutely crucial to grasp the sheer magnitude of what this seeker abandons. It's not just the bad stuff he's ditching. It's literally everything familiar. He leaves behind his family, his friendships. He walks away from the comforting rhythms of ordinary life and, all those endless distractions. It's a monumental sacrifice. He's severing ties with the whole shebang, every single anchor that tells us who we are in a societal context, all to search for answers the world could never give him. It takes an unbelievable amount of conviction to look at a perfectly normal life and say, nope, this just isn't enough.
So as we move into the next phase of his journey, the boy steps into a secluded wilderness to begin this long spiritual odyssey. He doesn't just, lock himself in a quiet room. He removes himself entirely from human civilization. He steps right into the deep, untamed wilderness. This is the exact environment where his transformation is going to take place. It's a deliberate, proactive choice to embrace silence. Actually, scratch that. He isn't really running away from something as much as he's running toward something else. Something vast, unseen, and entirely natural.
It's such a stark contrast, right? On one side, we've got the material world, just totally overflowing with noise, desires, and endless distractions. But on the other side, the wilderness. The source text describes this so beautifully. Silence, softly speaking winds, living stars with hidden wisdom. The noisy, ordinary rhythms of the life he fled are completely replaced by the mystical nature of the woods. The environment itself becomes his closest companion. The winds speak to him softly, and those stars, they aren't just giant balls of gas up there. They seem alive with a wisdom that's been completely hidden from the busy world. As years pass like drifting clouds, this profound shift happens. The boy really learns to listen. But he's not listening to people anymore. He's listening to silence itself. He tunes into the rustling leaves, the falling rain, the stillness between his own breaths, and perhaps most importantly, the quiet ache of his own soul. He's just sitting there with his raw, unfiltered humanity. He allows nature to be his ultimate teacher, totally absorbing the rhythms of the earth until the boundaries between himself and the wilderness just begin to blur. 50. He spends an astounding 50 years in pure, unbroken isolation. Half a century. We're not talking about a weekend retreat or a trendy silent meditation month here. This is an entire lifetime dedicated solely to solitude. And during this period, the text notes this really beautiful kind of melancholic truth. The world completely forgets him, but nature remembers him. He practically becomes a fixture of the forest. And through this immense dedication of time, that young boy, he ceases to be a boy at all. Over these 5 decades, we witness an incredibly powerful chronological and spiritual evolution. It's an amazing progression. It kicks off with loneliness, which, let's be real, is completely natural when you strip away absolutely all human contact. But slowly, that loneliness transforms into understanding. As the passing years turn into decades, that understanding deepens into awakening. And ultimately, by year 50, that awakening blossoms into full-blown enlightenment. It's a slow, methodical alchemy of the soul. He wasn't just instantly enlightened, he had to earn it, for sure, through 50 years of dedicated listening. So after half a century, the isolation finally ends. He heads back to his homeland.
But man, he is definitely no longer the boy who left. The world that forgot him is about to meet someone entirely new. He returns completely transformed into the entity known only as the Sage. Physically, the journey brings him full circle, right back to where he started, but internally, he is galaxies away from the person he used to be. He's touched the very fabric of existence and has now made the choice to step back into the noise to share exactly what he found.
And what he brings back is basically the very title of the book itself. He doesn't roll in with material wealth or newly found status. He carries within him the whispers of emptiness. And how does the text define this? It describes them as the sacred truths hidden beneath fear, ego, suffering, and illusion. The sage brings back these deeply profound truths about life, love, identity, and the eternal silence that lives within every single human heart. He realized that our fears and our egos, they're just noise, just illusions covering up the sacred emptiness that actually exists within all of us.
Now here's where the source material pivots beautifully. It reveals that this text isn't just some biographical story about the sage, it's actually an invitation directed right at you. Each chapter is designed to unfold like a quiet, intimate conversation between the reader's soul and the universe. The sage's 50 years in the forest literally serve as a mirror for our own lives. The book is asking us to look inward, to realize that his journey into the wilderness is actually a metaphor for the journey into our own minds.
In fact, the book serves as a literal guide, asking you to take 3 specific steps to move beyond the absolute chaos of the material world. First, pause. Just stop the relentless momentum of your daily life. Second, reflect. Look inward, way beneath the layers of your own ego and fears. And third, rediscover yourself. Find your own center beyond those endless distractions. The best part? You don't necessarily have to spend 50 years in a forest to do this. The author is offering you a roadmap to find that exact same eternal silence right where you are.
I absolutely love these poetic, closing lines of the source material because they perfectly encapsulate the philosophical payload of this entire journey. This is the story of a seeker who lost the world to find himself. This is the voice of silence. This is the whisper hidden within emptiness. Let's just sit with that first sentence for a second. A seeker who lost the world to find himself. It implies that to truly know who we are, we kind of have to let go of everything the world tells us we are. This book isn't just words on a page. It claims to be the very voice of silence itself, the ultimate distillation of a lifetime spent listening to the universe.
And so I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to ponder as you step back into your busy, noisy day. The sage did the heavy lifting. He faced the isolation and he brought back the map. But you know, the map is pretty useless if you never take that first step. So, are you ready to listen to the silence within your own heart? When you look past the illusions and the endless distractions and begin your own inward journey?